My story today is called Out Damn Spot. Now where I live on the Central Coast, I live across the road from a lagoon, and there's bush there as well. And it's $1 million view, but it's a very old house. It has a rusty tin roof. There's a large hole in my ceiling and it rains in my kitchen on a regular basis. There's even vines that grow in through the walls of my bedroom. But I kind of like that. But what I don't like is unwanted house guests. And every autumn, on that first cold snap, they come. Now I knew I had a rat because I read it in the ruins. Those little black droppings on the kitchen bench. And this rat was coming in every night under the noses of my sleepy dogs, helping himself to a midnight snack, and then leaving his little black calling cards for me to find. Well, as with all unwanted house guests, you have to do something. It was drastic measures, and I had noble intentions, I assure you. I didn't want to kill him, I just wanted to remove him and then take him out and release him to the wild. So I went to the local hardware shop and I found the old expert, and I said, "Can I please have a humane rat trap?" And when he stopped laughing, he said, "No such thing, love, just kill the nasty buggers." And then he handed me an instrument of torture. Well, that night after I put the kids to bed, I sat with the rat trap. I thought, to kill or not to kill? That was the question. And if it killed, well, would it kill cleanly? And if it didn't kill cleanly, would I have the guts to carry it through? And would there be blood and guts? And well, I decided after many hours of deliberation to give Rat 3 warnings. Now, I'm not silly. They weren't written warnings, they were verbal warnings. And so that night I said, "Rat, leave the house or I'm going to put out the rat trap." But the next morning, there were those little black runes again on that kitchen bench. So the next night, "Rat, please leave the house or I set the rat trap." And the next morning, he mocked me again with those black droppings. Third night, "Please, please, please, please leave the house or it's the rat trap." When I got up in the morning, the sun shone through the window onto the kitchen bench, onto those vile little black bullets. It was time. Well, that night, I baited it with organic, crunchy peanut butter. My conscience soothed somewhat that I was giving him a really good last meal with organics. And I set the trap and I went to bed to sleep, perchance to dream. Snap! 3 o'clock in the morning, I could hear the patter of little feet in the kitchen. I walked out to a grisly sight. In the corner of the room, there were my 2 dogs quivering and running round and round and round in a circle was Rat. The rat trap still attached to him, trailing a trail of bright red blood on the white lino floor. And my 2 dogs, they looked at each other, they looked at the rat, they looked back at each other, and one of them said, "Wilt thou sully thy hands?" And the other said, "Nay, not I, not I." And then they both looked at me. The chore was mine, and mine alone. Well, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I was just standing there in the middle of the night with just my knickers on, looking at the rat, when all of a sudden the rat made a lunge for the lounge room. Still trailing the rat trap and the blood as he made his way in, and I grabbed my trusty broom and I nudged him in the direction of the back door, but every time I nudged him, He screamed. I didn't know rats could scream. And so I nudged, scream, nudge, scream, nudge, scream. I got him out to the back door and I punted him out, and the rat flew in one direction and rat went the other. I slammed the door shut. I made my way back to the kitchen, that scene of murky hell. And the dogs still glared at me as I cleaned it up, and they said, "Who'd have thought the old rat would have such blood in him?" And I washed my hands and I said, "Out, damn Spot, out, damn Spot, will these hands never be clean? Oh Lord, no more of that, no more." But of course the next year, there was another cold snap, and in came another rat. And this time, I couldn't face Madame Guillotine again, and so it was rat poison. And I read the packet, and the packet assured me that they would go out to die. They would go looking for water outside after eating the rat poison. Well, I don't know. Maybe my rat was illiterate. Possibly he was a lateral thinker or even a vertical thinker, because he died in my bathroom ceiling. Oh. Now, at first there was only a whiff of something being wrong, but after a particularly hot autumn day, the stench of death and decay was undeniable. And the first day we could actually hold our breath long enough to use the toilet, but by the third day it was unbearable. And on the third morning, when I opened that door, it was a seething, moving mass of black flies, like the Amityville horror movie. Just a swarming mass of flies, and dripping from the vent in the ceiling were maggots. We didn't use the bathroom for 10 whole days, but the smell lingered even longer than Lady Macbeth's damp spot, and well, I thought it was a fitting punishment for my crime. Well, the next year, another cold snap, another rat. And this time I went to the hardware shop. It was a new hardware store, one of those mega hardware stores. And I went to the expert, a young man this time, and I said, "What have you got to kill rats?" And he looked at me. I said, "I assure you, we have humane rat traps." And he led me to the aisle of beautiful, shiny rat traps. They were made of steel and glass, and they didn't look like rat traps. They looked like rat condominiums. And so I went down that aisle, and I was reading all the gauges of how humane they actually were, and I picked out the best and rushed home with it with my nobility restored. And that night I set it, and I put in organic dark chocolate, the very best, nothing but the best for my rat. And the next morning I jumped up and looked in the little glass window, but no, alas, no rat. Well, the next night I thought, right, Parmesan cheese, the pungent aroma of Parmesan cheese, and that went in the rat trap, and I went to bed to sleep. The next morning, no rat. So the third night I just went all out. There was dark chocolate, Parmesan cheese, and a bottle top full of the Hunter Valley's best preservative-free Chardonnay. And I thought, I'm going to sleep well tonight. That rat will surely fall for my gastronomic charms. I jumped up in the morning, looked through that little window, no rat, no chocolate, no Parmesan cheese, and some bugger had drunk all the wine too. It wasn't a rat trap, it was actually a 5-star rat restaurant. I don't know. You know, we're going to have another cold snap any day now. And I know as soon as we do, I'll have those unwanted house guests again. And I'll be faced with that decision to kill or not to kill. And if I kill, what manner of death shall I deal? And I know there's a lesson here for me somewhere, you know. I don't know whether it's about taking responsibility for my actions. Is it about guilt? Is it bigger than that? Is it life and death? I don't know. Perhaps I should go see a priest, or maybe go see a fortune teller, or I know, I could ask Rat, and he can spell it out in little black runes.